All right. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining us for Up and Moving today. My name is Isaac. I'm a grad student in the Kinesiology and Integrative Physiology department. And really briefly, our goal with Up and Moving is to keep adults physically active, especially during the pandemic, but also beyond. So we're supplying virtual workouts that you can do right from home. Tonight's workout, we're going to be focusing on a full body strength circuit. So a few things that you'll need for the workout. I have just a nice stable chair, something that you can use to grab onto for some stability and balance help. If you've got dumbbells, we'll use those. If you don't have dumbbells, you can always use cans of soup, bottles of water, bag of rice, anything with some weight to create sort of an improvised dumbbell. Lastly, I also always have a backpack that I can throw on my body if you do feel like you need to add a little bit more weight and make some of these exercises harder. So we're going to start off with a short 5-minute warm-up here. We'll get the body ready to go for some of those strength exercises. Move into our workout, which will be comprised of, I've got 4 different exercises tonight, 2 upper body, 2 lower body exercises. We're going to work through 3 sets of each one of those. And I'm going to challenge you guys to land in somewhere in the rep range of 8 to 15 reps. So I'm going to kind of leave that up to you as long as at the end of each set, you finish somewhere between 8 and 15 reps and it's starting to feel challenging. So that's the goal. So I'll show you a few different variations for each exercise and you can sort of adapt the exercise to make it more difficult or easier if you need to. And we'll finish off with a little cool down. All right, so let's get into our warm up here. So we'll start off right away. We'll do some knee hugs. So you can bring that knee up to your chest. Give it a big hug with those arms. We can alternate back and forth between legs here. If you can't quite get that knee all the way to your chest, just as far up in front of you as you can, as far as you can lift that leg is good. And as we start to loosen up here, we'll add a little calf raise in there. So big hug on the knee, go up on your toes. Big hug onto the toes. Good, nice work. And we'll switch into a new exercise here. So we'll go for some Frankenstein kicks. So hands out in front. You're going to be bringing those toes up to your fingertips and alternating legs. Try to keep the knees as straight as you can. So we're just walking along like Frankenstein here. As you feel yourself loosening up, you can think about trying to get that foot a little bit higher up towards those fingertips. So all of these movements that we're doing here in the warm-up will serve to get those joints moving. Muscles warmed up, nice and elastic, ready to go. Our heart rate will get a little bit higher by the end of the warm-up here too. Good, couple more and we'll switch. All right, we're gonna go into a little reverse lunge. So you're gonna start from here, step back. You're gonna twist towards that knee that's up. And then I'm gonna come back to center, step the other leg back, twist the other direction. So just stepping back into a little lunge and then a rotation with that torso. We'll just keep alternating legs here. As you start to loosen up, you can turn a little bit further on that rotation. You can also start to get a little bit deeper on your lunge if you want to. Don't get those legs too tired though. We're gonna go into some split squats tonight. So we don't wanna burn your legs out before we get to our actual exercises. So if it's feeling challenging, just keep it as a little quarter lunge. Good, we'll get a couple more of these in. Last one here, good. All right, now we're gonna go into basically a hamstring stretch. You're gonna reach down, touch your toes, come up, arms into a Y, look at the ceiling and try to extend your back. So toes, And then a big extension into that Y. Toes, big extension. Try to hinge at your hips as much as you can. And then if you need to bend a little bit in your spine to get down to your toes, you can. We're just reaching down towards the floor and then coming up into that extension. Really get that back and those hamstrings nice and warmed up here. These always feel good after sitting all day. Couple more. Good, nice work. All right, we're gonna go into a lateral lunge. So we're gonna get our feet a little bit further apart. You're gonna lean your weight over to one knee, keep the opposite leg straight, come back to center, and then we're gonna switch sides. So just a little lean side to side here. We're getting a light stretch on the inside of the leg. We're starting to use those quads and warm that knee up. If you have to, you can take those hands, put your hands on your knees. Take a little bit of that force off of there. And let's keep rocking side to side. Good. My legs are starting to feel ready. Couple more of these. Last one. Great. All right. We're going to go into, there's a little bit of balance here, but also a little bit of a stretch in the quad. You're going to try to grab onto your ankle and then raise the other hand towards the ceiling. So I'm getting onto one leg here. If you're having trouble balancing, that's okay. Just do your best. And if you can't quite grab that ankle, just lift the leg. And you don't have to grab it with your hand. And same thing, reaching to the ceiling, pulling that leg up. Nice work. Couple more of these. Good, all right. I'm gonna get into a little bit of a side step here, and I'm gonna do some arm circles coming forward. We'll focus a little bit of our attention on the shoulders now and getting those warmed up. So we're gonna have a push-up variation today, as well as sort of an overhead press kind of exercise for more of the back and the back of the shoulder. So we'll make sure everything is nice and warmed up for those. We can start to make those circles nice and big. Really try to use as much available range of motion as you've got in those shoulders. Good, and I'm gonna go right into arm swings. I'm gonna keep stepping from side to side here. And as those arms come back, I push my chest out, pull my shoulder blades together. I start to get my pecs and my back warmed up. And then reaching for opposite sides of the room as you cross the arms in the front. Good, take a minute to just shake those arms out. We'll give them a little bit of a break. Now we're gonna go into those backward arm circles, going in the opposite direction you were before. And we can get right into making pretty big circles here. Shoulders might be getting a little bit fatigued. No, mine are. Good, nice work. Couple more. Good, nice job. All right, we're gonna go get into a little bit of a skater, speed skater or a skater lunge here. So I'm sort of shifting from foot to foot, stepping out to the side. I got my arms swinging. Get those glutes nice and warmed up. So really think about pushing off and hopping out to the side. And if you want to bump up the intensity a little bit, you can increase the pace. You can also increase the distance that you're hopping. You can try to get a little bit further here. These last couple of movements will try to push your heart rate a little higher. Good, nice work. My glutes are starting to burn a little bit here. Good, let's go to jogging in place. Try to get those feet off the ground if you can. Right. And we can ramp the pace up a little bit if you are feeling comfortable. Good, nice work. And really think about driving that foot up off the floor once it touches. We're going to try to use quick feet here. Quick feet. Like you're walking on coals. Good, and we'll go one more step up here if you can. Go a little bit faster, a little quicker feet. We're gonna still try to get them off the ground. And I'm gonna give us a 10-second countdown here. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, good. And that is the warm-up complete. I know I got a water bottle here somewhere, I found it. So if you got some water, take a little break here. Let the heart rate come down a tad. All right. Okay, so we're gonna go into our first pair of exercises. I like to do exercises back to back. So we're gonna start with a lower body exercise. We're gonna do some split squats, and then we're gonna go to sort of an overhead press movement. I don't have a formal name for what they're called, but I'll show you what those look like in a second here. So starting with the split squats, show you a few different variations before we get into our working set. So what you're gonna be doing with a split squat is you start with those feet together. You're gonna put one foot back. So you've got this staggered stance. And then you're just going to be dropping down into a squat. And we're going to try to keep most of that weight on that front foot. Back foot's just kind of here for support. It's not really doing a whole lot of work. Right? And so if you want to try the easiest version, use a chair for a little bit of support out in front of you. All right. You can also play with your range of motion. So the deeper you go, the harder it's going to be. All right. If you want to make it a little bit harder from there, you can elevate your back foot. So we can come here. I can actually put my back foot up on the chair and do the same thing here. Dropping down. Same movement. And then again, if you need to add a little bit more weight, make it a little harder, you can use dumbbells. Hold on to those at your sides, like so. Or you can even throw the backpack on your back and do it with some weight inside your backpack. Textbooks, rice bags, you can throw dumbbells in the backpack, however you want to do it. So we're going to do a set on each leg. So again, we're going to go for 8 to 15. So when you feel like the set is starting to get challenging, the muscles burning, maybe your forms, you're going faster and you're kind of losing control, you can end it whenever you need to. So let's go into our first set here. So we're going to do a set with each leg. I'm going to start with my left leg, so I'm going to drop my right leg back. And I'm showing the easiest version here. I've got a chair for some stability. I'm dropping down into that single leg squat here. Again, most of that weight is on my front foot, so I'm really thinking about pushing off the middle of that front foot, and the back one's kind of just there for some balance. Perfect. Once we finish up one leg, we can go ahead, flip to the other leg. Same setup. You're just going to pop the other leg back. And it's kind of up to you how far back you want that leg. It's sort of wherever feels most comfortable for you. There isn't really a set distance you have to put that back leg back. So pushing off of that front foot. Good. Whew. All right, once we finish that exercise, take a little bit of a break while I show you our next one. So I'll show you how to do it seated first. There's also a standing variation. So what you're going to be doing here, you're going to get in your seat, you're going to bend over. We want our torso at about 45, 30 degrees, somewhere in there. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to lift these cans of soup up by my ears, almost like I'm going to do an overhead press. But I'm going to come here and I'm going to press out up over the top of my head. But what I really want to do is focus on keeping my shoulder blades back and my chest out. And now it's okay if these cans of soup drop, but you should try to keep them in line with your spine. So if you look at my arm here, I've got a nice straight line down my spine. As I'm pressing, that's what it should look like. If it comes down here, it's okay, but I want you to strive to keep that arm in a nice straight line with your back, all right? So let's go for 8 to 15. This is not a very easy exercise. So if you're using cans of soup to start, that's probably gonna be enough. You can bump up your weight on our next sets if you have to. So I'm in an overhead press position. I got my weights by my ears. I lean forward, and then I'm pressing from here, keeping my chest out and my shoulder blades pulled back. Sometimes it even helps to think about taking your shoulder blades and sticking them in your back pockets. So you want to pull them down and pull them in. You're really probably going to start feeling this in the back of your shoulder, maybe even in between your shoulder blades. Last one for me. Whew, that burns. It's tough, and all I got is a couple cans of soup here, so you don't need a lot of weight for these. Good. All right. So while we're taking a little break here, you can go ahead and walk in place. We'll try to keep ourselves moving today. We'll go ahead and get a drink. And we're going to go back to another set of split squats, and then these, I'm just going to call them overhead presses. I know they're a little bit different. So think about what your last set felt like. If you made it to 15 reps and it was pretty easy, you can add weight. You can go to a little bit harder variation. If it was really hard, maybe try shifting to an easier variation. All right, let's go into split squats. So I'm going to show a little bit more difficult variation here. And I'm not going to use the chair for support. I'm going to put my foot up on it. And let's go ahead and do our 8 to 15 with each leg. And those hands you can put wherever you need to for balance, if it's out in front, if it's at your sides. I kind of just like to let my arms hang, personally. Again, we're pushing through that front foot, really utilizing the quads in the front of the leg on that leg. Abs nice and tight. I want to keep my hips level. Whew. Flipping, I'm going to hit my other leg now. And if you lose your balance like I'm doing right now, that's okay. Just collect yourself and restart. So abs tight, hips level. I don't have one hip dropping to the side. Pushing through that front leg. Should start burning in the front of your leg and your quads. Ooh, those are tough. Harder than they look. Okay, once we finish up, we can set up for the overhead press. So I'm gonna stick with my cans. Actually, I have cans of beets today. I'm a big canned beet fan. All right. So So again, on the setup, I've got the weights up by my ears like I'm gonna do an overhead press. I lean my torso to about 45, 30 degrees, pressing from here. And I'll give you a little bit more of a side view. You can see that my arm is in a nice straight line with my spine. I don't want those cans to drop, I'm not pressing out in front of me necessarily, I'm pressing over the top of my head. Keeping that chest out, keeping those shoulder blades pulled together. It's a great exercise here for shoulder health. Using a lot of muscles in the back and in the back of the shoulders that don't generally get a lot of work. Really light weights start to burn, I'm feeling it. Woo. Boy, I only get to about 12 on there. Whew. Okay. So let's go ahead, we'll take another little break here. I'm gonna go ahead and walk in place during our rest. Grab a sip of water. All right, so we've gone through 2 sets. We're gonna do one more set of each one of these exercises. So assess how difficult it was for you on the last set. You can make adjustments for the next one. If you need to grab heavier weights or throw the backpack on for the split squats, get yourself set up for that. Whew, okay. I think I'm ready to go, last set. So for this one, I'm gonna use my backpack because it's a little bit nicer than having to hold on to dumbbells. So I have a couple of textbooks in here and I've got a bag of rice. So I'm gonna guess maybe it's at 30, 40 pounds or so total. So here we go, last set. I'm gonna stick with my foot elevated here. Okay, here we go, going for 8 to 15. Nice and slow on the way down. Don't just let your body drop. Control yourself down. And then drive through that front foot when you get to the bottom. Ooh. Ooh, my quads are screaming. I'm gonna go ahead and switch, do my other leg. This is my bad balance leg, so don't laugh at me if I lose my balance on this one. Nice, slow, under control. Starting to burn. Woo. Good. Nice work. I'm gonna set this backpack aside. Okay, going back to those overhead presses. I have been landing at about 12 or 13 reps with my cans of beets. And by the time I get to about 12 reps, it's starting to burn in the back of the shoulder. So I'm gonna hang with these. I think it's a good weight for me. If you need to go heavier or lighter, feel free to do that. This is our last set. Okay, here we go. Weights up by your ears. We're leaning forward and pressing over the top of your head. Again, try not to let those arms drop. We want a straight line from our arms down through our spine. It's almost like you're trying to press behind your head. This is a good cue to keep those arms up nice and high. Keep them from dropping on you. Woo. Okay. We made it. First 2 exercises are done. I'm sweating pretty hard right now. All right, let's take a little break here. We'll walk in place. Keep everything moving. Grab a drink of water. And shortly here, we will jump into our next pair of exercises. So we've got another upper body exercise, another lower body. But we'll try to focus on a little different muscle groups this time around. Whew. Okay. So here's what we're going to do for our lower body exercise. It's a classic, one of my favorites. We're just going to go with a standard hip thrust. So show you two ways to do it. First way is from a chair. I prefer this way because you get a little bit more range of motion. It's more comfortable to me. I feel it burn more in my glutes. So we're really trying to target hamstrings and glutes with this leg exercise. So I'm going to lower down onto the chair so that just below my shoulder blades is in contact with the chair. Got my feet out in front. And then from here, I'm going to extend my hips. Notice that I am moving at my hip joint. I'm not moving in my spine. I actually have my sternum is moving with me. So you can even do these little finger guns on your sternum and make sure that your chest is actually changing in direction that it's pointing, because we want to move here. So abs tight, drive through the heels, squeeze your butt at the top. And I want to get into this position where I got a straight line from my shoulder right down to my knee. And right here is where I'm squeezing my glutes and my hamstrings. All right, so that's one variation. If you don't have a chair, or you don't have a chair that you feel comfortable leaning onto, we can do this right from the ground too. So we just get in the same position, arms at our sides for some stability, and then we just drive through our heels and extend our hips. All right, so let's go for a set of 8 to 15 reps here. I'm going to start from the chair because I like this variation. Okay, here we go. Good squeeze in the glutes. Trying to extend and push those hips to the ceiling. So we really hit our quads hard on the first exercise, and now we're going to focus in a little bit more on the muscles in the back of the leg. Sometimes it helps to think about driving through your heels, pushing through the heels. And your toes, you could even pull up off the floor. By the time you get to 15, it should be burning in your butt and in your hamstrings. Whew. Okay. That's one set down. If you need a little break here, you can walk in place, grab a sip of water. So we'll go to our second exercise in this pair. This is going to be a push-up variation. So it's not a standard push-up. We're going to make this into a little bit more of an overhead press rather than a press out in front. So we're going to be kind of doing this as opposed to this. So what you're going to do, easiest way is to start off by leaning on a chair or a couch. Get yourself into a push-up position. And then from here, you're going to push the hips back. So my hips are at 90 degrees. And then I'm going to push from here. So I'm lowering almost my head down to the chair and then pushing up. All right, so that's one variation. Give that a try. If that feels a little bit too easy, you can do the same movement but on the floor. So I start in a push-up position, drive my hips to 90 degrees, and then I press from here. So this is going to be a little bit harder. And then if you've got really strong shoulders and you're comfortable with it, you can try this one. This will make it a lot harder. Basically going to set up in a push-up with my feet on a chair, drive my hips back, and then I'm going to press from here. So now I have a lot of weight that's shifted onto my arms that I'm pushing with. All right, so find one of those three that works for you. And let's go into our first set here of 8 to 15. So push-up position, hips to 90, and then I'm pushing from the chair here. Just be really careful. Make sure that your chair is not going to slide on you. I have my chair on some carpet, so it's not going anywhere. But you can also do this leaning on a couch. You could do this leaning on a countertop. Whew, that is tough. My shoulders and my triceps are still tired from, I think, a workout I did yesterday. So you should feel that one really kind of in your shoulders, probably the front of your shoulder, and maybe even in your triceps and the back of your arm too. Good, so let's go into a little walk in place break. Grab a drink of water. And we're gonna rip through these one more or two more times. So same as our last pair of exercises, kind of assess how your first set went. If it was really easy, you can maybe try to add some weight, make things a little more difficult. Okay, so I'm gonna go back into hip thrusts here. This is a way that you can make hip thrusts harder, is by just putting some weight on your hips. So I've grabbed my 10-pound dumbbells. What I'm gonna do is lower myself down onto my chair. You could use a backpack, you could use anything, but I'm gonna set these dumbbells just right on my hips, right in that groove. Do the same thing here. So I've added a little bit of weight to it. So let's do our 8 to 15 reps here. Again, we're trying to move at the hip joint. Your spine should stay right where it is. Abs nice and tight. My sternum is moving with my pelvis. I'm driving my heels through the floor and extending my hips to the ceiling. Get a good hold at the top and really squeeze those glutes if you're having trouble feeling it. And good, I'm done there. Right. Boy, I'm really sweating. Okay. So let's go right into our overhead press. So I'm going to come down, do mine on the floor. This is going to make it a little bit harder for me. So recap of the setup, get in a push-up position, abs tight. Push your hips back till you're at 90 degrees. And then we are pressing from here. So thinking about bringing your head to the floor or the chair, whatever you're pressing on, and then pushing away. Keeping the legs fairly straight, just a little bit of bend in the knees. Keeping your butt up in the air. Whew. They're tough. Nice work. 2 sets down. We've got 1 more to go. So let's go ahead. We'll walk in place. Take an active break. You can shake those arms out if you need to. I got a good tricep pump right now from those push-ups. A little sip of water. Okay, last set, best set. So we can try to push this one. We don't have any more hip thrusts, no more push-ups to do after this one. So keep your form tight, keep your movement under control, not too fast. We're gonna rip through our last set here. Okay. 1 extra tip. If you feel like you need to make the hip thrusts a little bit harder than they already have been, we can do 1 leg at a time. So I'll show you how to do this here. It's the same movement. I'm gonna get in the same setup, but I'm gonna lift 1 leg and I'm just gonna use the other. So I'm gonna do my 8 to 15 with each leg. Same form, same technique. Now I've only got 1 leg working, so it makes it a little bit harder. Abs tight. I'm moving at my hip and driving through the heel of my foot. Whew. All right, I'm switching over to the other leg. Again, as you get a little bit tired here, still focus on your form. Nice and slow on the way up and on the way down. Whew. Done. Did it. Right. We've got our last set of push-ups. So I'm going to show you the hardest way to do these. If you felt like one of the other variations was a good intensity for you, stay there. But if you do need to make it a little harder, try to hang with me here on this last set. I'm going to just put my feet up on the chair, get in my push-up position, hips at 90. Let's go ahead and do our last set. Going for 8 to 15 here. Ooh. I only made it to 12 on those. Those are tough. Okay. Nice work, everybody. 3 sets of 4 different exercises we got done. Let's walk it off here for a second. Grab a drink of water if you need it. So not bad. Good strength training circuit in. We kept moving there. Got a lot of different muscle groups and joints worked. Feels good. All right, we'll end with a little cool down here to kind of bring the heart rate back down. Relax a little bit. Good, all right, let's go into a few stretching movements. So I'm gonna go into, let's see, maybe I'll do these seated today. Sitting down at the end of the workout feels good. If you wanna do these standing, you can do them standing as well if you don't like getting up and down off the floor. But I'm gonna get my feet apart. I'm gonna take my right hand and try to reach down for my left toes. Get as far as I can here till it feels tight, a little uncomfortable in the back of my leg. Don't want to overstretch it though. Shouldn't be painful, just uncomfortable. We'll hold this, take some deep breaths. And every time you exhale, you think about just releasing some tension from that muscle that we're stretching. Relax everything a little further. Good, let's go ahead, we'll switch to the other side. So I'm gonna take my left hand, go down towards my right toes. Same thing here, just get to where it's uncomfortable and I'm just gonna breathe through it. Good, a little bit longer here, try to reach just a tad bit further. Deep breaths. Great, nice job. All right, I'm gonna stand back up. Sorry to make you get up and down after all the split squats. All right, I'm gonna do a little quad stretch. So I'm gonna grab onto my ankle, pull it up to my butt here. Got my chair for some stability. If you wanna try to get some training, some balance training in, you can try to go without the chair. A little pro tip here, if you need this to be a little bit tighter stretch or deeper stretch, move your knee towards your other knee, kind of bring it in. Feel it get a little bit tighter maybe. Breathe through it. Great, let's go ahead, we'll switch, hit the other leg, shake that one off. Great. All right, one more little stretch. If you've got a chair, countertop, something you can grab onto, we'll get a good stretch here for the lats and kind of the shoulders. So you can kind of grab onto the back of the chair and then try to push your head down between those arms. Get a good stretch through your back here. Almost like you're hanging off of a pull-up bar. Right. Well, awesome job, everybody. Appreciate you. And thank you for joining me here tonight for the workout. Hope to see you back again soon. And we do have, just as an announcement, we are going to have an altered schedule coming up here now that it's summer. And we'll have that schedule out, posted on our website for you to check out soon. So check that out to see what we're going to be offering coming up here over the summer months. But looking forward to seeing you again soon.